there, the world feels like it kind of got flipped upside down on its head back in the beginning of 2020. Because there's just been relentless propaganda campaigns at virtually every avenue possible in our lives, trying to convince us that 2 plus 2 is 5. You know what I mean? That regardless of however long you've been alive, when 2 plus 2 used to equal 4, that now 2 plus 2 is 5. You know what I mean. Those of you that are with me, you know what I mean. That in the face of decades, in some cases, of clinical peer-reviewed studies that all found the same thing, we're not going to acknowledge what they found anymore. We're going to read a teleprompter and imply that the exact opposite is true. Now, I can't tell you why all this is happening, guys, but if you've been paying any attention at all whatsoever in the last year and a half, you must have at some point said, why is this happening? Because there's been so many constant contradictions of what truth is, and they've even tried to redefine and make truth subjective. I mean, it's a joke, guys. And they've done this in so many ways. It's like, where do we even start? And of course, it's YouTube. And I mean, ask yourself why I can't actually start saying real concrete things. I'm assuming that most of you guys watching this can at least pick a few out of thin air. You know, grab this, grab that, grab this. Why can't I talk about it? Because we're being algorithmically censored. And if I say the wrong thing, nobody sees this video, and it'll take an hour longer to process. So I'm not going to say certain things, but I know most of you guys are intelligent enough to at least pick a few out, because there's a lot of options. All right. What is going on? Is there a grand conspiracy? Do these things happen organically? I don't think so. I think truth tends to find its way organically to the top. And in order to suppress the truth, you have to do things like algorithmically censor people from saying things that are counter-narrative, even if they're true. And I don't know if you guys have been paying any attention, but they don't hide the fact that truthful sharing of information, of data, from a clinical setting even, they will suppress if it's counter-narrative. And when I say they, do you know who I'm talking about? Well, we're not meeting in person anymore to discuss things. Where do we meet? We meet in social media platforms like this, like Facebook, like Twitter. Yes, they have outright stated, even if things are true, if it's counter-narrative to the propaganda, the messaging they would like pushed, they censor it. How do we get that far? And how do we get all these private companies operating in agreement with each other, in sync with each other all at once? Because it is happening. That's not a conspiracy anymore. Remember when it used to be? It's no longer a conspiracy because they outright say it. So how did we get here? That's what we're going to address in this video. Now, I don't want to take credit for somebody else's work. I was watching a YouTube documentary that was translated. I don't know what the original language was, but they translated it into English. And it's one of those great documentaries that's objective, all right? Not subjective. Like, they basically don't stray from what's verifiably true. It's basically like a compilation of things that are true, and then authority figures, if you believe in authority, let's just be honest, like, they are authority figures in the sense that, like, whether it's money or the position they hold, do have some perceived power over you and me, normal people's lives, okay? So, yeah, that's the documentary. It's a very good one. I'm going to link to it in the description, and I'm going to plug it at the end of this video presentation, but I did just want to make clear that some of the stuff I'm going to be sharing is from that documentary. And this is going to be short. I'm not going to make this a long video. I do recommend you check out the documentary, though. You can probably skip through the first part because I'm going to summarize that for you right now. So let's get started. So what I want to illustrate in this presentation, guys, is if there is a grand conspiracy, if there is a Wizard of Oz behind the curtain pulling the strings, how the heck is that possible on such a grand scale? How is it possible? Now, the first thing that y'all need, we can't go past this slide if we can't all understand the concept of top-down control structures. Top-down control structures. What does that mean to you when you hear those words? Hopefully we're in agreement here. Yes, it's when you have a pyramid structure, somebody at the top, or it could be a small group, whatever, and beneath them, the next level down that they hand off orders to, there's more people. And then those people take their directive, and what do? Hit the layer beneath them. For instance, easy example, mainstream media. It only takes one person at the top that says, we're running with this story. You know what I mean? Think about how many billions of people are on Earth and how many things happen in a day. Yet they can cram in 5 news stories into 30 minutes. How do they decide what those 5 are? And how do they decide how to frame it? Have you guys ever been on this side of the camera? Because you get to decide how to frame something. Notice how I'm talking about this concept of a grand conspiracy. I'm a little bit critical of it. You know what I mean? Because I don't like when they're touching my life. Who are they in the first place? Most of these people are nameless. They're doing it from way behind the scenes, way up the ladder. Do you like that? That they can exert authority over your life? We don't even know who they are? Yes, somebody's making these decisions. This is not happening organically because it's happening in the face of truth most of the time. All right? So in order for this to happen, guys, it takes top-down control structures. And do they exist? Name a company that doesn't have a top-down control structure built into it. It's literally the executive to manager, the executive, then to president, then to your directors, and then to your managers, and then to your employees, right? It exists in every corporate structure that we're familiar with. Now, what's the second half of it? One of you guys knows. Yes, it's money. It's money.
All these fuckers gotta die, fast. If the world knew what they were doing, they would round up all these motherfuckers right now in Parliament.
If you control the money, there was this quote from, I forget who, I should have written it down. I might have written it down. But it was one of the central bankers probably around the time of the Federal Reserve's inception. And they had some smart ass quote that was like, I don't care about having the money. I'd rather control the money. And it was a banker. Now, when we give our money to the banks, do they say, I have all the money now, and they run away? No, they say, hey, that's your money. But they control the money. You know what I mean? So it's this concept of, I'd rather control an army than say that I exert domain over their lives. You get what I'm saying? Because when you control it, you really do anyways. It's just kind of like a wink-wink euphemism. So you get what I'm saying there? Okay, is money real? Are there people at the top, or let's just say centrally planning, who gets money over the last year and a half? Yeah, all that happened. Did the top fraction of 1% get the majority of the helicopter wealth that was created during the pandemic? Yeah, all that happened. Yep. So, okay, the ground is set. Okay, so we're not crazy here, right? We didn't deviate from reality, right? Okay, now that we've done that, let's see, can a grand conspiracy possibly take place right now in our lives that where they can literally invert reality and try to make people believe it? Which, of course, we already see it's happening on a regular basis, so the whole point